And welcome back to the Always Better Than Yesterday interview sessions. And it is my great honor to be having Mr. Jon Gordon as my special guest today. Welcome, Jon.
Hey, Ryan, thanks for having me.
So I want to kick this off to start with by first of all with a big thank you. You've been a huge mentor of mine for a number of years. I've consumed your books and they have played a huge part in my own leadership journey and the way I show up and help my Always Better Than Yesterday community. So first I want to honor you for that and say thank you.
That means a lot. Where did you find me being from England?
So my wife was a network marketer and she worked for a company called Unique, and they were massive with the self-development world, and they were all listening to the Energy Bus at the time. So I think 2017, 2016, 2017 is when I first came across the Energy Bus.
Oh, that's great. I always love to hear how people find it.
Yeah, it's amazing. So please just give me, I think from what I know, George within the Energy Bus was a lot based on your story. Could you help bring that to life a little bit? Tell us what it was like before you stepped into this positivity that you talk
Yeah,
about.
2001, I was really miserable and negative. We had just moved to Jacksonville, Florida from Atlanta. I had a wife, two small children, and I was allowing the pressure and stress of life to really get me down. I was really crumbling under the pressure and the fear, and I was really negative. And my wife had had enough of my negativity. She said, if you don't change, we're over. You have to change. So I agreed to change. I began this journey of working to become a more positive person. I had to be. I wanted to stay married to my wife.
Mm,
And in that journey, I started to research ways that I could be more positive, and I started to study the emerging field of positive psychology at the time. And
mhm.
then eventually that would lead me to start this newsletter, a weekly positive tip. And every week I would share something I was reading, something I was learning, and people started to follow that. Initially, I had 5 subscribers, my mother, my brother, my best friend from college. And then it just started to expand. And that led to, a couple books of writing a few books, but those weren't the Energy Bus. Those were books that I wrote before I came to faith. And then I had a real strong faith experience where hard to explain. I mean, I'm
Mhm,
not someone who ever thought I would believe what I believe, but I
mhm,
listened to some sermons from a guy named Erwin McManus. He's a pastor in LA. My friend gave me these CDs. I was really struggling at the time. I was having a lot of anxiety and fear. Things were coming back on the surface. And I just can never get rid of it. And then I listened to these sermons and it just spoke to me for the first time. Jesus spoke to me in a way that I connected with it. And so I remember praying, God, if there is something to this Jesus, I'm open. Show me the signs. And sure enough, I started seeing the signs everywhere. But then I met a Buddhist energy healer who really is the one who explained it to me. That really helped me understand what Jesus did. Hard to explain. It's a long story. But
mm,
from that experience with the Buddhist energy healer, I said, all right, I'm going to give this Jesus a shot. And my faith started to grow from there. I started to transform from the inside out.
mm.
And then I wrote the Energy Bus shortly after that. So it just was something where I just had this more intimate connection with God, and God started to reveal things to me. I started to get these ideas and insights that were coming to me, and then
Mm.
started writing that book. And I wrote it in 3.5 weeks and have written over 20 books since, right? So all take about 3.5 to 4 weeks to write. It's really incredible. I get the idea, I have the vision, and I start writing it, and the story just unfolds. It's like I'm writing. I'm not the author. I'm just the pen, and I'm just writing these stories down. So I give all credit to
Mm.
God in that way. But I'm someone who, again, who went from negative to positive, like George in the Energy Bus, and work with tons of companies, tons of sports teams, NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball, NFL. So I work with a lot of great companies, Fortune 500 companies, a lot of great sports teams, a lot of schools. And so when I'm, speaking to all these organizations, I don't bring my faith into it. I
Mhm.
share principles for leadership, principles to be your best. But my faith drives me in all that I do.
It's amazing. I felt like I had a similar experience where I came to faith, in my 30s too, and it's interesting. I'm really going through a part where I'm trying to align my work with my newfound faith. Is that something you wrestled with?
I mean, I really wrestle with it. My faith just sort of guided my work. When I first received Jesus and said, "Okay, I'm gonna believe And it wasn't even like I had a choice. It just, I mean, I'm meditating and seeing a glowing cross. So it was almost like it just started to speak to me.
Mhm.
And then I transformed from the inside out. Like who I am now is so different than who I was. So my
Mm.
life testifies that something happened. Even if you're not a believer, you know, in this, your life testifies to who you are. And people notice the change. So many did who knew me
Mm.
before. And my wife knew me. So for me, I reached out to the pastor whose sermons that I heard, and we started talking. I said, maybe I should go into the ministry. And he said, no, no, do not go into the ministry. You are right where you're supposed to be. Go work in the world, go impact the world the way you're supposed to. And so I just did that. So for me, I did what I was born to do. I'm doing what I'm born to do. And my faith is driving me. It encourages me. Like your faith in
Mm.
God doesn't make your life easier. It makes you stronger. And
Mm.
so through all of this, I had more strength to go after things, more confidence to pursue things. I no longer felt fear. I have peace right now, even through all this coronavirus. I mean,
Mm.
I don't have this angst. I did when I lost my job during the dot-com crash
Mhm.
years ago when I wasn't a believer, and I didn't handle it well. I did not pass that test, but it prepared me for a moment like this because that's where I found my faith. Those were the moments where my wife almost left me and losing my job and all that fear. It prepared me to be someone who could take on the challenge now, to be a light for others. So in doing that, you know, and going through that, I became who I was meant to be. So I would say, yes, you know, it's just one and the same. Like your work and worship, you know, because work comes from the word worship. Like they should be one and the same. Like you're not supposed to separate your spiritual life from your work life. I think many people do. And what happens is they're so burned out at work. That's why most people are disengaged at work, the research shows. Most people hate their jobs. And
Mm.
so the key is how can I use my work as a way to make a difference? How can I use my work to make an impact in others? How can I be missional about my work? You don't have to go on a mission trip to be on a mission. Every day you can
Mm.
bring your mission to the work that you do.
Yeah, I love that. In Irwin's recent book, The Way of the Warrior, and there's something within that that connects with something I think you said in the training camp, which is about your gifts are not yours; they're for those that need it in the world. How did you realize what your gifts were?
I think you just realize what your gifts are by doing them and by
Mhm.
living them and seeing how people respond to you. Because I didn't know what my gifts were. Still discovering my gifts as we move along. But I
Mm.
never knew I could write fables. But once I started writing the Energy Bus, my first fable, I'm like, okay, like this is a pretty good story. My wife thought it's okay. Like she didn't think it was amazing or anything. She read it like she never thought it would sell 2 million copies like it has.
Yeah.
I don't know. I expected it to sell 2 million copies, but there's something magical about it. But because it's beyond me. Again, I can't take credit. There's something spiritual about this book where the energy just leaps off the page and reaches people and touches people in a way that changes their life. I get so many
Mm.
emails from people that are impacted by it. It's the best feeling in the world. So I guess I
Mm.
realized my gift by people responding to me in that way. I would get up and speak on a stage, and I didn't think I was very good, but people said, "Oh, what you said touched me. You impacted me." Okay, well, I guess maybe I'm good at that. I still need to work on that. I got to get better at it, and I continue to get better. Started when I was
Mm.
around 32, 33, and now I'm 49. I still feel like I got a lot of room to grow, so I'm excited about getting even better. So for me, it's about just recognizing that it's writing, it's speaking, it's communicating, it's connecting. My greatest gift is probably taking real complex subjects and bringing them and breaking them down in a simple way that is
Mm.
digestible, that people can read, understand, and most importantly, act on. And I never
Mm.
knew I had that gift, but I know that that's what I do well.
I love that. You said something earlier about transforming from the inside out, and when Martin in training camp gets his injury, you talked about him having to slow down and having to refocus on what he wants and get his head right. That's a little bit like now here in the UK, we're on lockdown. We're having to slow down, and it's a very good parallel to where Martin found him. How do you start that transformation from the inside out?
Well, first you recognize the power is on the inside. So it comes from the inside and we create inside out. So knowing that, it would make you want to work on the inside. It's knowing that we can't control a lot of things on the outside. I'm in lockdown as well. I'm in an area where It's not as bad as the other parts of the country, but we're still expected to be in our homes and isolating and so forth, and not going out as much. We're about to change that, which is I think is good. But for the most part, it's recognizing that you have to find peace within you to create peace on the outside of you. So it starts within. Everything starts within. And if my good friend Erwin McManus, who led me to Jesus, he says, the world will never know peace unless we know peace within. And so it starts with us. The world is a manifestation of us. It's like the coffee bean analogy that I share, right? You could be a carrot, egg, and coffee bean. You put the carrot into hot water, it gets weakened by its environment. You put the egg into hot water, it gets hardened by its environment. So often we allow the environment to affect us. We're like the carrot and like the egg, bitter and angry, or weakened, anxious, fearful, like the carrot. Or it could be like the coffee bean, which you put that coffee bean into boiling hot water, and what happens is it transforms the water into coffee. We don't even call it water anymore. We give it a new name. We call it coffee. And so that's our job, to transform every environment we're in, to transform from the inside out. So for me, it's prayer, it's meditation, it's trust, it's positive talk to yourself, encouraging talk instead of listening to the negative thoughts. Speak words of encouragement to yourself. It's knowing those negative thoughts are not coming from you, because you would never choose to have a negative thought. I ask people all the time, do your negative thoughts come from you? And they say, yes. I said, really? Who would ever choose to have a negative thought? This blows people's minds, because they're like, yeah, I wouldn't. And then I say, do you choose your thoughts when you're dreaming or having a nightmare? No, those thoughts are just coming in. So it makes them think. No one has ever found a thought inside of a brain. The brain is the hardware. The mind, consciousness, is the software. And so we're always downloading thoughts, but you don't have to believe those negative thoughts. You got to speak truth to those thoughts. So to me, it's understanding how the battle is going on. There's a battle going on versus good versus evil. There are negative thoughts. There are fearful thoughts. There are thoughts that want to sabotage you. They want to distract you. They want to distort truth with lies. They want to discourage you. They want to make sure they create doubt within you, and they want to divide you. They want to separate you from your friends, from yourself. The word anxious means divided. They also want to separate you from God, ultimately. That's the goal. The garden is a great metaphor for that. I just wrote a book called The Garden, and it's a great metaphor because the garden represents man's separation from God when Adam and Eve ate the fruit, because they didn't trust in God. They didn't rely on God. They believed the lie that they weren't like God, because the enemy said, if you eat this fruit, you will be like God. They already were like God. In Genesis, it says they were made in the likeness and image of God. So they already were. They believed the lie they weren't. They ate the fruit. And what happened was they were now separated from man from God. And that's what we do every time we believe the lie. We're being separated. And what we have to do is make sure that we bring truth to those lies. We have to trust instead of doubt. We have to encourage instead of discourage. We have to focus on what matters most instead of being distracted, which is love. And we have to make sure that we are uniting. And how to unite? Well, what happened in the garden, the separation of man from God, gets reconciled on the cross. Jesus came to unite man back to God. Like, the two stories fit so perfectly together, thousands of years apart, two perfectly together. One is from the Old Testament, one is from the New Testament. Two, in essence, different religions, and yet the two stories fit together so well that you have to say there's something there. And when you understand there's evil in the world, because there is, you can look around and you can see it, you know that this is the answer to the evil. We fight evil with good, with love. Love conquers fear. Yeah. Love conquers hate. You have a lead with love. Love wins. And so it's a love story. It's a beautiful love story that we just need to understand. It's not a religious story. It's not a control story. It's not someone who wants to take away your rights and make you a holier than thou person. It's about knowing that you are loved and you are meant to be loved, and there is no judgment associated with the life that you live. It's about knowing that God loves you, and it's about becoming all that you are created to be in God's image.
I love that. I definitely had a moment before this podcast interview. There were moments where it was, oh, this is too good to be true. I had those moments of fear, these moments of doubt. Why would Jon Gordon be coming on my show? All these thoughts were coming in, and I knew enough about them and myself that I just had to leave it at the hands of God and just trust. And I had a moment of prayer. The family came around me, and just, yeah, it was a beautiful little moment, really, and it speaks volumes to what you've just said. Within the energy bus, I love the voiceover, and I would love to hear your Joy's voice very soon. But she says it's all about heart, Georgie. I hope you're ready. Once you take the next step on your journey, there ain't no going back. Lead with all your heart. Why is there no going back?
Because once you understand how the world works, when you understand that it's love instead of fear, and you understand this truth, there is no going back to the lie. Once you have been to the light, you're not going to go back into the darkness. So you've seen the light, you're going to continue to move forward in that light, in that love, because you recognize that that's where the power is. So there is no turning back. It's about creating a brighter and better future. It's about the vision to move forward, the purpose that drives us there. So for me, there's no turning back. And it's funny to hear those words because I wrote those words in 2006, right? Think about that. 2006. It's now 2020. That's 14 years later. The book came out in 2007. But guess what? It hit the Wall Street Journal bestseller list last week, 14 years later, or 13 years later. Crazy.
It's always supposed to be there. It's so good. And your legacy is beyond just the energy bus, because I sit here with the energy bus for kids, and I have a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old, and we read this a lot, and my son has taken this into his primary school. He's shared the lessons with his friends. There's a picture of it up on the wall, because his artwork, and it's really powerful. How much do you think about legacy in the next generation?
I mean, my legacy is real simple for me. It's wanting to just make an impact to encourage and inspire as many people as possible, one person at a time. And it's people at all levels. So I want to reach the 80-year-old, the corporate executive, the mom, the teenager, the student athlete, which I get to speak to a lot of, and to reach young people is great as well. I love the fact that I've written 4 children's books and that kids read them and schools use them. So for me, yeah, it's really exciting to know that these little kids are benefiting from these lessons and learning these lessons. But my legacy is simple. Like, I have this vision that one day when I'm gone and I'm not here, God willing, my kids will be around, and someone will go up to my kids and they'll meet them and they'll say, your dad made a difference in my life. I read his book, or I heard him speak, and this happened. So that's all that I do. That's how I live my life every day, just knowing that I'm here to make a difference. And ultimately, there are going to be stories that are told later on. And my brother laughs at me, but I say, I just want a great funeral. I want a great funeral. I won't be here to enjoy it, but I want a great funeral knowing that I made a difference, which shows you, like, it's not about your ego, because you're going to be gone. You're not like you're enjoying it, but you did the work that you were supposed to do. And then God says, well done, good and faithful servant. So that's what I hope for.
You mentioned in training camp, which I know was again some time ago, about being a 50%er. Don't be a 50%er. What does that mean?
Yeah, you give everything that you have every day. Life is too short to be average, and you were not meant to be average. You are here for greatness. You are here to do something great, and you want to be great. Everybody wants to be great. I've never had anyone say, I want to be average. Deep down, we all want to be great. Why? Because we know within us there is greatness. And so we want to fulfill this potential we know that we have deep down. And God put that greatness within you, because there is no greatness without God. Because why would you truly want to be great? It's not like in nature, the elephant says, I want to be great. It's not like the cheetah says, I want to be great. The rooster says, I want to be great. No, they're just doing what they're supposed to do. The dog doesn't say, I want to be great. Maybe the cat says, I want to be great, but no one really says they want to be great. But for humans, we have this desire to be great because we know that there's an ideal of greatness that we're meant to strive for and meant to push towards. So to me, don't be a 50%er. Be a person who pursues excellence, who works on your craft, who pursues greatness. But you got to decide what that is, and you got to understand what that is for you. Like, focus on what matters most, but learn and understand what that most is for you, because it's going to be different for each person. The thing you don't want to do is spend your life working hard on something that doesn't really matter, working hard on something that you really weren't meant to work on in the first place. We're doing something because people expected it of you, rather than what you felt deep in your heart you were meant to do.
Yeah, I love that. I've got a question from an audience member, Naomi. She says, do you have days when you feel like you've hit a wall, you just want to stop showing up? And do you feel that kind of burden of, being the founder of the Positive University? Do you find, that a bit of a burden?
Of course, there's always a burden. There's always a day where you don't want to get up, where you don't feel like being very positive. And people need to know that I'm not naturally positive. I have to work hard at it because I naturally go towards a negative. But it's on those days where you tap into a greater purpose. Your purpose gives you something to be positive about. And we don't get burned out because of what we do. We get burned out because we forget why we do it. So what is your why? What is it that you truly want to do? And that why will drive your positivity. It will drive your action. So on those days that I don't have it, my purpose keeps me going. Just like this. I mean, I've been doing like 4 Zooms a day. And I know, okay, I'm meeting with Ryan right now. I don't know where Ryan is. I didn't even know you were from overseas. Again, I've been swamped with so many things, and I'm like, all right, I'm ready. And whoever he is and whoever his audience is, I got to give him my best, because this might be the first time they're ever hearing me. And this might be something that I might say something that can impact them. And if I don't do this, I don't give my best, then maybe I don't impact them and I don't make a difference. So for me, there is no other way. Like, you have to give your best.
Wow, I love that. And my ethos is about helping people be always better than yesterday. And I'm just curious to know what that phrase means to you.
So helping people be better than yesterday. Well, the goal in life is to live young, have fun, and arrive at your destination as great as possible. As great as possible, is it? Yes. And with a smile on your face. No, as late as possible. That's what it is. It's been a long day, Ryan. It's been as late as possible and great, with a smile on your face, knowing that you truly enjoyed the ride. But also, it's to get better every day, to be better than you were yesterday. And so you want to make sure that you wake up and you are striving to get better today than you were yesterday. Don't settle for average. Don't look into the past. Look into the future. How can you improve? How can you grow? How can you get better? So don't compare yourself against other people either. Like, don't try to be better than someone else. Just be better than you were yesterday.
I love that. I'm sure you get asked this all the time about having written 20 books, or which one's your favorite, where shall I start? But which one are you recommending to people most during these times?
The Energy Bus is just probably why it's selling like crazy right now, because people are looking for positivity. But The Carpenter is probably my best book. People say it's my best book. It does the best in Germany, actually, I found out, than all my other books. So The Carpenter, and then I would just say, if you're a leader, The Power of Positive Leadership, and how to lead your team during this challenging time, to build the culture, to continue to infuse them with positivity, to develop relationships, to make sure you're having the difficult conversations and you're not ignoring the reality, and you're discussing the facts, and you're sharing the truth, and even if it's bad news, right? So I think Power of Positive Leadership, The Carpenter, and The Energy Bus. But my favorite book is Training Camp. So my favorite that I've written is definitely Training Camp, the winning habits that separate the best from the rest.
Yeah, I love that. And my particular favorite lesson is the best make everyone better. I absolutely love that. And, and I sit here, you've acknowledged my t-shirt, Lead with Love. I've come from a policing background, one where we typically think leadership is about rank and hierarchy and we're tough. And you gave me the courage and the confidence, or you drew that out of me to talk about leading with love. I already knew it was important. I already knew that love was something that was really important to me. And you helped me not only lead with love, but to love tough. I love this sense that you talk about love tough. What does that, I won't keep you too long, but just what does love tough really mean?
Yeah, I love that too. My dad was a New York City police officer. So my dad was a loving man, but he was very tough. But the key to leading people is to love them first. if they know you love them, you earn the right to challenge them. This is not about love being soft or weak. Love is strong. People run into burning buildings to save other people because of sacrificial love, right? That's why they do it. When you're fighting in a war, yeah, you're fighting for your country, but it's also for the person to your right of you and to the person to your left of you. It's the bond, the love you have for your brothers that cause you to fight for them. So love is tough. Love makes you strong. So for me, love tough means I'm going to love you. And then in loving you, I earn the right to challenge you, to push you to be great, because I'm not going to let you settle for anything less than your best. So as a leader, this is key. If you want to be a great leader, you got to have love and accountability together. Too much love, not enough accountability, you're not building greatness. Too much accountability, not enough love, you're driving them all the time, but they're going to burn out. And they're not going to trust you, and you're not going to have a great relationship with them. And they'll probably eventually have disloyalty towards you and leave and go somewhere else. Bring the two together, love and accountability. You now have love and accountability. This is what I expect from you. And this is what you can expect from me. These are our standards. This is our culture. This is what we value. These are our principles. This is what we stand for. And you have to live up to that. And if you don't, this might not be the right place for you. So that's love and accountability together. But thanks for saying that. And I appreciate that you do it. Again, doesn't mean we're weak. People think it's weak. Like I always say, don't mistake my kindness and my love for weakness. Because if you come at me, I'm gonna have to knock you out.
I love that.
And open up a can of positive energy on you.
I love that.
You know, so yeah, I'm very loving, but I also believe that, no, I do believe, again, growing up with a dad was like that. Like he made me into a tough person. And so I know I'm tough, but I think men in general are pretty tough. We just need to learn how to share love more.
Do you have a Joy voiceover for me?
God, if I can remember, I recorded that again in 2007. But hey, George. Hey, sugar. Hey, sugar.
Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
Hey, sugar.
Amazing. I love it so much. Thank you so much for your time, not just now, but everything that you've done to support myself and my Always Better Than Yesterday community up until now. Would you do me the honor and the privilege of leaving us with a final thought from your good self?
Ryan, my final thought is that you're awesome. You have great energy. I can see you having a great future in this work that you're doing. Appreciate your family supporting you in this and, you know, supporting you. I interviewed Matthew McConaughey the other day. He's the famous actor. And I felt, as I was interviewing him, maybe the way you felt about me, like I was going into this interview with Matthew, like, how did I get Matthew McConaughey on my podcast? Like I was a little nervous. The fact that he was doing it turned out great. And you find that good people attract good people. So my final thought is that being positive doesn't just make you better. It makes everyone around you better. And the more positivity we are, the more positive we are, we attract more positive people to us. And right now in adversity, remember this: stars shine the most through adversity. Stars shine the greatest in the darkness. That's it. And positive people shine the most through adversity. That's what it is. And so, and then this is not about being positive and seeing the world through rose-colored glasses. This is knowing that the reality of the situation is challenging, but you have the power to overcome the thorns that exist from those roses. And so we're going to take this bad, turn it to good, and create something great. So sorry for those little few mess ups there. I'm like, wow, I gotta probably need to cut back on some Zooms, I think.
Thank you so much for your time and your service. Really appreciate it.
Hey, Ryan, appreciate you and all the work that you do. Keep up the great work.